On one level, it's good that I don't make these videos as often these days, because it means writing is now my default thing when I'm hanging out. I'm trying to finish my book, Shadows of Clouds on the Mountains, book 1 of 2. Working on it for 15 years. It's almost done. I'm writing the intro right now. Still need to write half a chapter and the afterword. But I believe it'll be finished this year. Prisma, what's going on? Why isn't that Apher's book elsewhere? This looks interesting. These National Geographics for art purposes. And I got this from a free shelf. Oh, free box by Eldorado. Explorations and Navigations, The Resonance of Place. Whoa, that's right up my alley. Psychogeography, baby. Kitties, what do you think about the 3 insane cats that are currently being fostered in the bathroom? Squirrel, what do you think? Sweet Pea, I know you're not happy about it. Frankly, I can see why. But believe it or not, these kitties are going to soon be socialized, and I'll be petting them within a week. I've seen it happen before. I'm going to see it happen again. Hi, kitty. Would you repeat that? Hi, kitten. Hi. If you want to adopt some cats that used to live under barracks and just recently got spayed and neutered, just spayed, I think they're all girls. Why are you so spicy? It's a beautiful note, though. Like a Taos hum. Ambient music. Word of warning. Motorcycle driving away. Why did you spit like that? Why did I miss that on film? It's pretty dramatic. You really are a wild animal. Yikes. Well, at least you're in my bathroom. Just frightened. I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better soon, okay? I'm gonna get you some treats and wet food and toys and playtime. At least you found the comfortable spot. That's good. Squirrel, what was that about? But I've got 20 or 30 minutes before I go to a school event of my daughter's, so honestly, I don't remember what I looked at last, but I know it's this last section. I think it's all the booklets now. Have I looked at them before? Okay, I'm going to take out all the booklets and magazines that aren't in that box. Oh, I feel a little traumatized by the ferocity of that cat's attacks. I feel like I've been hanging out with a wild cat. Ghost Ranch Museum and more. William H. Carr. Please do not feed our animals. Their diet is carefully prepared. 1967. Time capsule. Georgia O'Keeffe as she was regarded in the 60s. Pretty cool. And I gotta love the aesthetic. Put it on a t-shirt. Map on the back. Please do not feed your fingers to the animals. Their diet is carefully prepared. This I got from the visitor center at the volcanoes west of Albuquerque. The western edge of Albuquerque. Good to have, I think. Is this for that? Yeah, it is. It's for one of the trails. I wrote an article called, like, the real, like, Cocopelli Unrated or something. And I found all the legends. Cocopelli was probably based on traders with their packs on their backs and their flute to attach people, to attract people. But in some versions of the Cocopelli story, the flute is also a detachable penis. So it gets kind of wild. This booklet is from 1990. Lucifer and the Crucifer, the Enigma of the Penitentes. Oh, it's about the Penitentes. Lucifer and the Crucifer. Let's just make up words. George Mills and Richard Grove to have be your title. 1966 reprinting of a 1955 book. Huh. Penitentes are a really interesting subject. Big part of New Mexico history. A religious, unofficial sect of Catholicism. Now it's official. That believed in whipping themselves and hanging themselves on crosses and stuff. Dating back to a tradition of 1300s medieval Spain and Italy. This is a cool booklet, an important one for the drive up the Sandias, for the history of that area, etc. It's in my book's bibliography, which I think is the list of Sandia books to read. But this one correlates to sign markers along the road, and you can learn stuff. This is where Adam and Eve were. Here's where Noah landed after the flood. Like, where are you getting your... I remember this was good research for the Sandia Park chapter, especially, of my book. I used to be kind of annoyed at this phrase, because there's signs at Tinkertown that say this. I did all this while you were watching TV, Ross Ward. I'm like, so? There was really good stuff on. Like, TV's really good. It's like a great form of long... Anyway. But there's no question that TV has a stultifying, anesthetizing effect as well. Probably killed a few revolutions. Ross Ward was amazing, and I love the book Leaving Tinkertown that his daughter wrote. That's like a loving memoir of their family. It's, oh man, he's just a really interesting folk artist, a former carny. Built Tinkertown, this amazing feature up in the mountains east of Albuquerque, full of hundreds and hundreds of carved figurines and just really interesting stuff. The shoes of the world's largest man. Sailboat that once went around the world. Walls made out of bottles. This, the library that people built, this is about the Corrales Library and how people got together and built it back in the hippie days. And it's pretty cool. Albuquerque's North Valley. But I was given this by the library there because I was researching Frank Larrabee, trying to get a hold of him, because my podcast brought the movie Track of the Moonbeast back to movie theaters, and well, just to one theater, the Guild, for one showing. But he sings a song, California Lady, that's included in that movie, and we wanted him to come be a guest of honor at it, and a musician performed one of his songs. We interviewed him afterward, and it was just really cool. All his kids were there, and we talked about how MST3K was too mean when they made fun of that movie and of him. This is a cool thing to have. There's a picture of Frank Larrabee in here too, because he really helped do the fundraising for the Corrales Library. He was really active there. Also a developer, like a builder that had built hundreds of the homes there in that town. Another Penitentes one. This one finds me. I've had many copies of this one somehow. 1968. The Penitentes of the Sangre de Cristos. Penitente music. Oh, cool. Oh, this one's great. I've read this. Love it. They're so interesting. I'm very interested in the 1936 murder of Carl Taylor, who was researching the Penitentes. Listen to City on the Edge, my podcast about Albuquerque, for 2 episodes about that. Episodes 2 and 3, out of now like 120. Anyway, Albuquerque Underground. Albuquerque. Oh, they added that R in there. Well, anyway, this was like a cool zine that hyped up local things, and it kind of grew and grew until it was a fancier and fancier magazine. And I contributed to 2 of the issues, wrote descriptions of cellar door and a few other things. They were the dream of this guy, Eric Bodwell, and I don't know if he still does them. I kind of think not. This is technically a zine, but it's also like kind of a sales guide type thing. So, booklet section it goes. I don't have a box of zines anymore like I used to have. Petroglyph National Monument. Oh look, I've got 2 Petroglyph National Monument booklets. That's because it's so cool. On the west side of Albuquerque are all these amazing petroglyphs. I mean, wow. And they're like along the edges of this monument. It's just like they're right along suburbia. It's crazy. I haven't seen it, but the movie The Goldfinch, which is an adaptation of Donna Tartt's novel, which I have also not read, was filmed entirely on the west side of Albuquerque. And I hope it uses some of that juxtaposition, because I've always thought the visual potential was really high there to mix the ancient and the modern. I've seen some really good photos that do that. I don't know. Cultural sensitivities have to be thought of too. But, you know, they're part of the history of this place. Big part. And I love it out there, though it is so hot, man. When it's, if you're out there in the summer, my whole family almost like died of heat stroke out there once. I am Marco Valdi from Metallica, you know. No, we just, I don't know. I think one of the kids dumped out our biggest bottle just when I wasn't looking. And I was like, little kids. We staggered back to the car like Lawrence of Arabia. Glug. Santa Fe Trail. It's wild. When you drive through Santa Fe, which really is a small town, it's crazy. It has the cachet it does. Many roads in Santa Fe are just part of the old Santa Fe Trail, which was a super important wagon road back in the day. Some classic literature of the West includes like Susan Shelby McGoffin's journals from the Santa Fe Trail. El Malpais, this place I love. I went there last summer again as part of the wilderness camp I was working at. El Morro, big old rock in the desert that everyone carved their names into when they encountered it after traversing the plains. Oh, I've been down in those too. Oh, it's neat. Great lore around there. I'm scary, a serial killer hiding back in the lava tubes. Oh, that's El Malpais. No, this is the volcanic badlands that are near El Morro. I was thinking of El Morro. Here's the historic rock. Yeah, I was like pretty light on El Morro pics in this book when I was living through it. Yeah, because it's not about that. It's about El Malpais, which is so interesting. It's volcanic land. It's so rough and wild and black like that. And but it was formed, unlike Albuquerque's volcanoes, pretty recently geologically. Albuquerque's volcanoes were like 200,000 years ago. This was like several thousand years ago. And there's actually indigenous lore in the area from various tribes where they talk about the earth being all fire and so on. So who knows? I think there's a bigger, messier human history of the West that's being discovered all the time. Many different waves. But who knows? I mean, the bones found at Clovis connect genetically to 80% of the indigenous peoples of all the Americas. That's crazy. Clovis, New Mexico. El Morro. Here's my most recent acquisition in this section, Carlsbad Caverns. Oh, if you've never gone to Carlsbad Caverns, you really haven't seen a wonder of the world. It will take your breath away. It's crazy. I wish you could see it the way the baths were still, you know. I used to live in the university area, and this book was really helpful. Bought it from this one bookstore that sells it. It's called like the Book Stop, and it's like a hoarder's nest. Just books stacked everywhere. And then the lady really high pressures you to buy more. I gotta watch out for this place. So you might as well get this book if you're getting that book. Anyway, this is really cool. And I think, did Chris Wilson do this? Oh yeah. He's great. He wrote that book about the Sandias that I love. That's, this is 1986. And he wrote The Myth of Santa Fe. This was very helpful. The university area is actually really interesting. We should care about places that want to be smart and promote learning and education. That's awesome. And the university area was often the most colorful and like there's a lot there to talk about. For instance, one of UNM's early fraternities was so racist to this one guy who's running for student body president that he went on to found BET and Essence magazine. He succeeded despite them, or in spite of them, or something. Despite them. They were horrible. This was really useful when I lived around Las Cruces. Ghost sites of southwest New Mexico. They mean like ghost towns. Abandoned villages. But included in this book is a good description of the secret hideout of Billy the Kid, I think. I think that's why I have this. And it's this amazing ridge that he and his gang wrote their names along, and a rusty horseshoe dating to their time was found along there back when Billy the Kid was a rustler. Before the Lincoln County War. I found that site. I wrote a big article about it for New Mexico Magazine, which I guess we'll probably look at when we get to the magazines in that box over there. If you live in a place, obsess over it. Get deep into the history. Find the weird stuff, you know? I bet your place has crazy stuff, wherever you're from. Some county in Illinois, of course it does. Quarry, New Mexico. Quarry's amazing. Yes, it was built with slave labor, but it's awe-inspiring. Giant stone church. I mean, it's huge. This photo does not give you the scale. The walls are so daunting and so thick. They're fortress walls. This is a 1973 booklet. I have a really wild memory of going out there during a snowstorm when the place was closed, and my daughter and I just walked around in it in the snow, and it was great. This was, of course, long ago, so the statute of limitations has expired, I hope. This is a really obscure what is it? Archaeological monograph. Paco, which means the root of the cottonwood. Archaeological Chronicle of an Indian Village in north central New Mexico. Yeah. A 1954 monograph. I've got cool stuff. Only 500 copies were ever made of this. And Paco's really interesting, and there's a housing development there now. And when I was in high school, my best friend lived there. So I went to Paco all the time, and then I later found there's all this huge history with a pueblo that excavations still happen nearby. And this is the New Mexico section, so these all have New Mexico connections. Here's a beautiful one. I think I had this framed at one point. White Sands. Love it. I should frame it again. It looks great. I wrote an article on Paco for East Mountain Living, and it was very interesting to research. I found out most of their descendants are now at Santa Ana Pueblo, which is kind of a part of Rio Rancho, a growing city. White Sands. Well, so these were all booklets, but here's something of a sort of magazine book, 175 years of the Santa Fe New Mexican. Real solid, like those Time Life ones. Still has ads in it, though. That's too bad. But I'm glad it exists. If it didn't have ads, it wouldn't have been free, so... Or, how did I get this? Nobody knows. Squirrel just leaped over there to see a pigeon. Speak to the bird, squirrel, speak. Guess I have time to read more. Look at more. Okay, these are all magazines, I guess. I already looked at all those in other videos. Mexico magazine. It's kind of weird that we keep like pieces of cardboard around for a long time. Like if I saw this near the end of my life, let's say I'm old, I'd be like, I remember that piece of cardboard. Oh, this is so cool. I like to think that I helped show the East Mountain Historical Society that there was a real interest in the history of the area. Because when I wrote Towns of the Sandia Mountains, I did it because I felt like there was a real void. Like, there really just wasn't a history book about the Sandia Mountain towns for the general reader. So I was like, someone must rectify that situation. But, and the East Mountain Historical Society existed, but it felt to me like a very loose collection of individuals doing things and mostly a bunch of binders in the Historical Society's house. But now they have like a real presence. And they probably would have done that anyway, but like I said, I like to think. If you live in the mountains east of Albuquerque or you like that area, this is a must-have. And if you don't live in these areas and none of this seems relevant to you at all, which it really is if you look at big picture stuff, everything is to everything, you know? Like what Nietzsche said, when an intelligent person learns something new, it immediately takes its place as a link in a chain. It's all one big story, you know? I met the author of this booklet one time. She was working at the Nature Center on the Rio Grande. It's a really neat space. It has a glass-walled room where you can just watch the natural world happen outside. Turtles swimming, birds of all sorts. Oh yeah, you got to get pretty obscure stuff like this for some topics. Shedding Light on a Nuclear Neighbor, Sandia National Laboratories. This is a critical book about Sandia Labs. So, very interesting. I'm sure it makes some very good points. Least favorite binding a book can have. This is cool. I once got hired by the Forest Service to do a 6-month research project on Sabino, this little community up there that had all these interesting chapters, and this map is relevant to it. Someone else once gave me a home movie that they had from the 20s or 30s of an airplane flying in over Cedro Peak. I think it must have been like 1932. Cool. New Mexico's history through its architecture and interdisciplinary curriculum. Cool. This looks like it must have been something for a class, maybe. But it looks usable and readable. Now that I know I have it, maybe I'll read it sometime. Oh, a big New Mexico map with detail. Nice. That's cool. I wish I could put that up somewhere. But it's probably both sides. Brochure about the amphibians of Albuquerque. That's cool. I saw that and I thought, how unusual. You don't think about Albuquerque as a town of amphibians, but we do have a river going right through town, so yeah. Look at them. And they're all best friends. They go on adventures. This is it. This is our new show right here. If I was a TV executive, I would do stuff like that, though. Get the rights to this. Stat. See that frog go on an adventure and like solve a crime or something? Of course. That would be amazing. Or that one. Well, Malpais, we meet again. What a truly forbidding place. It just means the Badlands. But it is gorgeous. Great sunsets. If you drive out there, all the radio DJs talk in Navajo. And all the music is old-time country. Drove through there a lot working for the wilderness camp last summer. And I hope to work there again. El Morro. El Morro is so special to my family too. My sister Leanne, who died, went there before she died and described a really beautiful scene where watching our niece Kindred, who's really little, play with dirt and be like, this, and just be so amazed at everything. And Leanne, who was struggling with depression, was just like so moved by that. So El Morro's always been special. Also, when I discovered that wall of carvings from 1581, the only other known carving from the Chamascado Rodriguez expedition was at El Morro, and it's one of the lost carvings. So that makes my carving that I found older than their oldest, which is the 1605 Oñate inscription there. It's a great place. I love El Morro. If you go there, walk all the hikes. I went with a bunch of like kind of jaded social media teenagers, and they were all like, wow, this is amazing. Because here's a whole panel from the 1600s right there. It's really wild. I think inscriptions are so cool. This is also called Inscription Rock. Mexico is great. This is about a neighborhood of Albuquerque, Los Duranes. I spent so much time in the Duranes Park when my kids were little. Their school was there. And this is all about how the area would flood a lot. The fields would get called yazoos. Like that, I think that's the park. That's crazy. That's the railroad. Could have been one of these areas. We would keep rowboats. And I thought there was a picture of my kid's school in here. Yeah, back when it was a girls' school. Like a Catholic girls' school. Bibliography. So cool. A whole booklet about a little neighborhood. What people don't realize about Albuquerque is it swallowed up a lot of other communities. It just grew and grew. This was a very old town itself, Los Duranes. Also, Barelas, 5 Points, all the ranches like Montgomery. And right now, I'm in La Cañada de Guantaboso, a little village that was here in the 1700s, right where my apartment is. Right where my apartment is. The exact dot on the map. Non-native invasive weeds. You know what's fun to read about when you're just sitting around? Non-native invasive weeds. It's a weird stain. So, no, it's good to know about stuff, right? You know, maybe brochures are great. Here's just a little bit to read. Think about how important they were in the early days of the printing press, you know, leaflets. There's some sort of artsy zine type thing. Made by some outsider weirdos. Distributed through the zine community. I think I got this from Jessica Mills. But she didn't make it, I don't think. Oh, La Chancla. Maybe I got it there. Venue I've been too many times. Oh, it's about Estancia, Elizabethtown, Loma Parda, Golden. I met the people that made this. It feels like I should have. Report. Sports, but it's all stream of consciousness. Good news, bad news, and no news. Getting unique things in a collection, you know? Street maps. This was very useful to me when I was writing some chapters about growing up around here. This is all the roads east of Albuquerque, basically, for a long way. When I was 17, I had a crazy misadventure on one of these roads. Enough said, read my book. Be getting in trouble left and right. This is also my book's bibliography. This is a really great history of the Sandia towns written by school children at this time, under the direction of Laura Atkinson, author of Pack Rat School, which was a minor hit back in the day. Yeah, I love this. This is a reprint, but it was like a must-have for my collection, especially when I was really into Sandias, and I am still, but there was just a really research-heavy time. I'm telling you, if you want to really know the Sandias, and like you've explored them and so on, read the bibliography in my book. I'm very proud of this bibliography. That's a high-quality reading list right there. You could easily make an anthology of the Sandia Mountains just excerpting the books right here. Here's a historic booklet about Carlsbad Caverns, Jim White's discovery of it. It's cool. It's got all kinds of old images. This is the kind of stuff they probably sold at Carlsbad Caverns. That's probably where this originated. Oh, it's so amazing. I need to go back there. Carlsbad Caverns, you're really great. The town of Carlsbad was named after Carlsbad, Germany, because they also had springs there, and they hoped to also promote themselves as a healthy spot. Carlsbad's amazing. I've had so many experiences there in my life, I don't even know where to start. Well, going there when I was a kid, it was always a wonderful... We lived in Arizona, but it was still like a must-see place in the West. Back then you could eat at this little cafe deep underground, which maybe was not the most environmentally sensitive, but like was awesome. I remember eating chicken down there. They do blackouts where they turn out the lights. I've since taken tours of some of the lesser caves, like the more secret off the beaten path ones. Not Lechuguilla, because no one can go there really. Imagine just being a scared cowboy and finding that thing. That's crazy. A gigantic world. You found Hades. Back then it was so full of bats. The monument has not always valued its bats. In fact, I wrote an article about the bat bomb and the efforts to build a bomb full of bats that were wired with incendiary explosives, and how they got away and burned down a rancher's place. They were going to be used on the city of Osaka in Japan, and they would have roosted and then exploded. And Carlsbad was like, anything we can do to help the war? Sure, take all the bats. Good job rangering, protecting your bats. Only in peacetime, I guess. Look, I've got more of those Duranus ones. They used to give these away free, and I was like, these are so great. And I gave them to a few people that I knew that would care, and I still had some left. Oh, El Moro. I bought this last time I was there. This is a guide to the whole inscription trail. I love El Moro. It's such a special place. It's the oldest, I mean, it's been called, you know, part of America's national heritage, and it really is. I mean, it's like, this is pre Plymouth Rock, a lot of it, you know? And it's just amazing, and it's so interesting, and the way the desert preserves things, and it's so cool to see all those hundreds of carvings in one place. Oh, there, kitty. Why are you sniffing everything? Anyway, it's good to have weird little books. This is one of my favorite Sandias books. This is mentioned in my bibliography also. Okupin. It's a beautiful, like, 70s booklet. I love this. This should be reissued in like hardcover, real nice. Or a slim novella paperback. It's special. Padded out. Oh, this is almost as old as me, 1980. With an introduction. We add some photos. But this has a lot of the good lore of the Sandias, which, you know, the indigenous mythology and all the great stuff. Okupin means giant turtle, and it's how the people regarded the Sandias. This is so cool. I had this in the kitchen for a while because it also Los Remedios de la Gente, a compilation of traditional New Mexico herbal medicines and their use. I bought this recently from page 1 because I'm like, that's amazing. I want to know all those things. I want to know what all the plants do. I've had this idea for an article for a long time that I have not written, but I really want to write. Okay, I gotta go. I need to be at my kid's school in like 20 minutes. It would be about all of the plants and nature of an off-ramp along the freeway, where it, like probably like Eubank or Wantabo, one I see a lot, and it would be all of the plants discussed in order of their appearance in this area, and like their story, and the like basically take a really like interstitial place and turn it into something special. Interstitial is an Annie Dillard word, by the way. I don't think I would use that word so much if I hadn't read her. Then I would like talk about the whole story of the West through this little microcosm of this off-ramp, you know. And I think I wanted to go out with an herbalist and walk around and look at it, but they kept flaking on me. I tried to schedule it a couple times, but so I am going to write that sometime. And here's the last one I'm going to look at because I got to go. It's another Penitentes one, the Penitentes of the Southwest. I think this is a different one than any of those others we looked at. And I've read all these back when I was writing about Carl Taylor. All right, these have been a bunch of booklets about New Mexico. Booklets, brochures, maps, eclectica. Dang it, that's not treating them well. Come on. Then we'll look at some New Mexico magazines, some of which have my writing in them. Oh, and if you live in Albuquerque and would like to help take care of cats and make them comfortable. This poor scared one. Jeez. Okay, hi. Kitty, I am going to pet you before the week is over. I am. Jeez. And look at you. You've really done a lot since I've been away, huh? Just so cute and sad, hi. Okay, all right, I get it. You're angry. You were abducted from your home and operated on. We're going to get you kitties friendly, we're going to get you homes, and your lives are going to be better. Yeah, it's... Okay. All right, folks, I got to go. Next time, New Mexico magazines. Aren't you all excited, people not from New Mexico? Uh-huh. Okay, well, you know, whatever. Put stuff on the internet, what happens? You can just see. Bye, squirrel. I got to go to Willow's thing.